Hi, I'm Kacie-Lyn and my PowerPoint presentation is on Disney's culture, stereotypes, and gender roles. There are two questions that my research is based on. One is, what roles does Disney have in creating culture and stereotypes? And the second is, what ways have Disney stereotypes changed? First, I will start by looking at the role that Disney has in creating culture within Disney movies. In Gerox's 1998 research, he found that Disney has a huge influence upon children's culture and their everyday lives. He also found that what children learn from Disney movies, they tend to believe is true. He also found that Disney tends to alter stories of history in order to make it appeal to their audience. Disney aims to challenge dominant roles of racial and colonial authority in order to rewrite new narratives. In another study conducted by Yin in 2011, she found that non-Western cultures are changed in order to fit into what Disney wants to portray to their audience. Looking more at Yin's study, she focused upon the Western versus the non-Western culture, in other words, the popular culture versus the other culture. Yin focused her study upon Disney's movie Mulan and the non-Western's Ballad of Mulan. In the Disney movie, Mulan is a girl that didn't know how to fit into the traditional gender roles of China. She disobeys her family and takes her father's armor and goes to war in his place. In this movie, females were not allowed to go to war or it could result in death. Therefore, while at training, Mulan becomes athletic and ends up saving the soldiers from the Huns. After she is found out, she is left behind but returns to China in order to save the day. Looking at the Ballad of Mulan, which is what Disney's Mulan is based on, it differs in so many ways. In the ballad, Mulan does not defy her parents and go to war, nor was she ever disguised as a man. Mulan went to war in consideration for her family because her father was too old and her younger brother was too young. Lastly, in Disney's Mulan, they say that women were not allowed to fight in the army, when in Chinese culture, women that fought in the army was sanctioned and highly acclaimed. Besides reviewing the differences in the Mulan stories, Yin found that Disney used stereotypical Chinese icons like the Great Wall of China, giant pandas, ancestry worship, and martial arts as a way of mimicking the Chinese culture. Also, the royal dragon symbol was ridiculed into a lizard named Mushu, which actually means mushroom in Chinese. In all, most Chinese people were not happy with the film because Chinese culture was denounced as Oriental tyranny in order to make Disney Mulan a heroic figure. In a study conducted by Strong, she focuses on Pocahontas being a teacher in order to teach both her tribe and the Englishmen of equality and respect for each other's cultures. Pocahontas is in touch with her Indian spirituality, as well as wants to learn more about the English culture that John Smith can introduce her to. Strong also focuses upon the lyrics of the song Savages that is sung in the movie. She finds that this song is dehumanizing to the extreme. There are so many Native American stereotypes about their culture, like how Native Americans are filthy heathens or that their skin is hellish red. She also looks at the English culture that is stereotyped throughout the song when they say that they are greedy, soulless, and untrustworthy killers. Looking at Edwards' study, she found that Pocahontas introduces multiculturalism to Disney. Disney's Pocahontas uses racial mixture and multi-ethnicity to develop their own particular version of multiculturalism. Pocahontas assimilated a marginal American Indian culture into the dominant Euro-American culture. Throughout the movie, Pocahontas is recognized as a cultural mediator where she learns that it is her duty to educate the English settlers as well as her own people, and that the opposing culture are not savages and they can get along. After Pocahontas learns more about the English culture and teaches Smith about the Native American culture, they fall in love, creating the first interracial love story in Disney. Now we will look at the stereotypes of gender roles that Yerby, Barron, and Lee found in one study and England, Descartes, and Collier Meek found in another. Both studies found that princesses tend to be domestic, nurturing, emotional, sexual, as well as the damsel in distress. The princess tend to be physically strong, athletic, fearless, the rescuer, and affectionate. Now I'll focus more on England Descartes and Collier Meek's research in 2011 on gender role portrayal and the Disney princesses. The women split their study up into different periods that the movies were released. The first was the early Disney movies, which consisted of Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella. First, looking at Snow White, they found that she was more affectionate, fearful, and nurturing. As for the prince, he was rarely shown throughout the movie, but when he was shown, he was emotional. The second princess was Sleeping Beauty, which was known to be affectionate and sensitive to animals. As for the prince, he also was rarely shown throughout the movie. Lastly, Cinderella's gender role focused more on doing the domestic work. As for her prince, he was also rarely shown, but only to rescue her at the end. Looking at the early Disney movies, the women found that it tended to be more traditional gender roles for both the princesses and princes. Next, the middle Disney movies consisted of The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. As times were changing, the gender roles of the princesses and princes were changing as well. Looking at The Little Mermaid, she was the first princess to challenge the traditional gender roles. Ariel was more independent and wanted to explore. As for Princess Jasmine, they found her to be more assertive and fearful, although she wanted to explore outside of the palace. As for the princes, they found that they tended to show more feminine characteristics, like being sensitive or helpful, rather than traditional masculine characteristics. Beauty and the Beast was a little more different. The princess, Belle's, gender roles consisted of being brave and nurturing. As for the Beast, he inspired fear, was assertive, and also emotional. This differs from the early Disney movies because the princesses were beginning to portray stereotypical masculine characteristics as well as having feminine roles. As for the princes, they began showing more feminine characteristics even when they portrayed masculine characteristics. Lastly, the women's study focused on the more current Disney movies, which consisted of Mulan, Pocahontas, and The Princess and the Frog. Mulan and Pocahontas were known to be highly tentative and troublesome. Their troublesome nature related to their undertaking of more masculine roles and taking on leadership roles. Both princesses defied their families and became the rescuers in the movies. As for the princes, they were seen to be more masculine princess because they were unemotionally stoic, physically strong, assertive, and athletic. As for the Princess and the Frog, she is portrayed as an independent woman, but also given a possible racial gender role. She is portrayed as a good cook and waitress, and the women do not know if she is portrayed this way because she is African American. They believe Tiana is possibly given a racial gender role, and the prince is known to be more masculine and feminine by showing his emotions frequently and being affectionate and athletic. In all, England, Descartes, and Collier Meek focused their study upon gender stereotypes and how it is constantly changing as time changes. Lastly, I will focus on recent movies that are challenging the stereotypes. Looking at Ryan King's study of Tangled, he believes that it challenges the stereotypical gender role of both the princess and the prince. The first way it challenges the gender role is that Flynn Riddle stumbles upon Rapunzel and has no intention of following her nor rescuing her. Also, Rapunzel does not have immediate feelings for the man she just met. She does not care about his charm or smile the way the other princesses did or fell in love at first sight. Another movie that continues to challenge Disney stereotypes is Frozen. In Grammer's research, she found that one way it challenges the stereotypical gender role of a princess is that Anna is recognized to be clumsy rather than elegant. Another way that it challenges Disney stereotypes is that it rejects the idea of Anna marrying someone that she just met, and it is continuously ridiculed throughout the entire movie. Also, rather than having a princess save the day, the movie was focused on the importance of family and how love can overcome anything. In conclusion, looking back at my research questions and the role that Disney has in creating culture and stereotypes, as well as what ways Disney stereotypes have changed, we find that Disney is constantly changing as time changes. First, looking at culture, Disney has the power to influence children's culture as well as change it into what they believe will get the audience's attention, even if it is wrong information. Disney also found a way to incorporate multiculturalism by mixing different cultures together, like Pocahontas and John Smith, and creating interracial love stories. Next, looking at the gender role stereotypes, we find that as time changes, so do the roles that both princesses and the princes play. The first Disney movie portrayed that Disney princesses tend to be nurturing and focused more on domestic work, as well as the princes rarely being shown throughout the movie. As time changed, the princesses became more independent, while the princes portrayed more feminine roles. More recently, we've found that the princesses were more troublesome but became leaders and saved the day, whereas men were becoming more masculine. Lastly, Disney continues to make movies that are challenging the stereotypes. In Tangled, Rapunzel was independent and wanted to explore. She was not like earlier princesses that fell in love at first sight. Looking at Frozen, it challenges the Disney stereotypes because the princess is different from all the other princesses in the sense that she is clumsy rather than graceful. This movie also rejects the idea of Anna marrying someone she just met and does not end with a prince saving the day. Rather, this movie focuses on the importance of family love. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you all enjoyed it.